Welcome back again for another of our Lenten meditations. And today I've stretched us a little bit outside of what we've been doing so far. While the Episcopal hymnal provides us with many, many hymns that are just beautiful to contemplate, today I went for one that is actually based on a poem that comes from a well-known poet, but who happened to be a member of the Quaker community. John Greenleaf Whittier was born in Massachusetts in 1807, and he was raised on a farm and trained as a young man as a shoemaker. But then his future jobs seemed to tend to go towards journalism and editing. He worked for many years as the editor of the American Manufacturer in Boston. He worked in the New England Review as an editor, and in 1836, he became the secretary to the American Anti-Slavery Society of the Pennsylvania Freemen. He also, for some time, starting in 1847, was the corresponding editor to a magazine called the National Era. Now, in the midst of all of these editing positions and careers, he decided to move somewhere else in Massachusetts to an area called Amesbury, and most of his poetry was then written from that particular area. Whittier's religious life strongly influenced his belief in how God communicates with us, mostly through silence and stillness. This approach is supported by a well-known story from our Old Testament that's found in the first book of Kings about Elijah. Elijah was at the time on the run, and he was absolutely exhausted when he collapsed. Then a voice told him, "Get up, eat, drink, take a nap." And he had enough in him then to be able to go for 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, to the Mount of God. The author of the Book of Kings then tells us, at that place he came to a cave and spent the night there. Then the word of God came to him, saying, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the Israelites, forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I am left, and they are seeking my life to take it away." The voice then said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there was a great wind, so strong it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks to pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in an earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, sound of sheer silence. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Then there came a voice that said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And so, taking that idea of the story of Elijah, where God spoke to him not in the disasters of the world, but in the silence of the world. Let's hear this poem lift to us by one of America's greatest poets, Whittier. Dear Lord and Father of mankind, forgive our foolish ways, reclothe our rightful mind. In purer lives thy service find, in deeper reverence, please. In simple trust, like theirs who heard beside the Syrian sea the gracious calling of the Lord, let us, like them, without a word, rise up and follow thee. O Sabbath rest on Galilee, O calm hills above, where Jesus knelt to share with thee the silence of eternity, interpreted by love. Drop thy still dews of quietness till all our strivings cease. Take from our souls the strain and stress, and let our ordered lives confess the beauty of thy peace. Breathe through the heat of our desires, thy coolness and thy balm. Let sense be dumb, let flesh retire. Speak through the earthquake, wind, and fire. O still, small voice of calm. How do you expect to hear God's voice in stillness? How important is listening to God for you in your prayer life? How would you describe your prayer life? Do you schedule time for prayer, or is it more of an ongoing conversation that just happens with you and God? Well, thank you again for joining me today, and I hope to see you back again tomorrow when we can continue our contemplation of different hymns. And until then, take care and God bless.